All right, let me know. Let me know if this is lagging still. Let me know. Let me know. Oh, it seems good now. It seems smooth. Did it just work? Did it work? On my end, it's looking pretty good. On my end, it's looking pretty good. I'm just saying. Just saying. All right. It looks like it's smoother now. A lot smoother. Let's go. It's good. The kick is good. I've been playing a lot of Madden recently, so yeah, it's looking smooth now. Looking smooth now. We're good for the time being. For the time being. All right, let me send him the new link now. There we go. The kick is good. Arizona will suck because of Galchenyuk. Nope. Yep, OC, we're back. The camera is looking good now. It's looking like we're much smoother. Much smoother. You just have to restart the stream, and there you go. I got a PS2 last week. Nice. I have an old PS1 that I barely play because I got it like at a retro gaming store like a year ago. I barely played it. What's good? How's it going, Joseph? How's it going? Yeah, camera's good. It's looking a lot better. Stars will suck because they lost on Antoine Roussel. Oh boy, we're gonna miss that grit. We're gonna miss that true grit. And SpongeBob Battle for Beginning Bottom yesterday. Oh yeah, that game's pretty good. I remember playing that one on GameCube. I'm assuming Madden 19 is better than Madden 18. Somewhat, yeah. Pretty much just a roster update. I got it from one of my friends. He had a code, so I was gonna take it. So it's pretty much just a roster update. It's not that much different, especially with franchise mode, which is the only one I really play. Galchenyuk is worse than Dallas goaltending. Hey, don't insult Ben Bishop like that, man. That's so rude. Then it's like the rudest of rude. All right, so yeah, we got Twisted
Hey,
Wrestler
Nathan,
Hockey
can you hear
in
me
here.
okay, man?
Yeah, we're good.
Awesome. How you doing?
I'm doing good. The stream, I had the stream going at first, and then it was just lagging like crazy, and then restart, it's great.
Yeah. Okay. Oops.
All right, I'll give it a second for you to introduce yourself. I'll get your link.
Sure. So are we live now?
Yes.
Oh, no way. All right. Well, yeah, I'll give an intro. So my name is Nick, and I run a YouTube channel called Twisted Wrister Hockey. So if you like oddball hockey topics and homebrewed statistical analyses and the occasional jersey unboxing, head over to Twisted Wrister Hockey and subscribe to my channel. I am based in Mountain View, California, which is about 15 minutes away from San Jose. So I'm definitely a big San Jose Sharks fan. So on my channel, I want to, kind of like you, cover more of like the Western Conference and more specifically the Pacific Division. So that's a little bit about me.
Nice. Again, there's not a lot of fans in the Pacific Division covering hockey on YouTube besides like the Vancouver Canucks guys.
Yeah, we got Louis for Vegas Golden Knights, and there's Jack Mullet hockey show for LA Kings. And I recently,
I don't think there's anybody for Edmonton. Definitely not Arizona.
Yeah, I haven't found anybody for Arizona either.
Somebody has to go up and be an Arizona fan that makes YouTube content. There's got to be someone out there.
I bet that there will be somebody at some point during the season, because I think that Arizona is going to be making some noise for sure.
Yeah, they get better. I think there's going to be a lot of people that are inspired to make videos about them.
Yeah, I hope so.
All right, let me get in the chats. We got plans tonight, so I won't be here for the live stream. See you later, Buster. Glad you could stop by. Let me see. Ben Bishop, who, yeah, the stream likes to make fun of Ben Bishop. Grav, can you plug my giveaway? Yes, Yinzer on Hockey is giving away a Blues jersey, which is great.
Absolutely. He recently hit 100 subscribers, so congratulations.
Yeah, he was on the live stream last week, which was amazing. He was great.
Yeah, and I know that other folks have been reaching milestones as well. Like Audie, he reached what I think like 900, and I think Top Shelf Hockey and Hands Down Hockey, they recently hit a certain milestone too. So congratulations to all the YouTubers out there.
Yeah, Top Shelf Hockey is like 200 away from like 3,000. He's getting up there for sure.
Wow, there we go. That's great.
I think Owen Nyquist hit 6K, and so did Hands Down
That's
Hockey,
right.
Justin.
Yeah, cool. Who else we got here in the chat?
We got Mega Lucario, got OC, we got Steven, got Yenzer and Hockey, of course.
Okay.
Twist Wrister in the chat as well. Egg Joseph. Yeah.
Cool.
Beauties.
Well, thanks for joining, everybody.
I wish 2K would make NHL because they take risks. I'd like to see 2K make an attempt, but I don't think it's going to happen.
I certainly miss 2K, not just for hockey, but for other sports too. Like 2K baseball was pretty good. That was like 15 years ago, but I enjoyed that. And then obviously 2K football, like NFL 2K, that's NFL 2K 5. I think that's like the best football game ever made. But
yeah, I think I heard about that one. OC loving the jersey. Like he likes the Blackhawks, so he's a big Blackhawks fan.
Yeah, I figured that we would probably take some time today to talk about Stan Mikita. That's why I decided to wear my Hawks sweater. But yeah,
we're probably going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Blackhawks and Sharks fan here. Well, there you go. Glorious beard on that one. All right, so I have some stuff that we could talk about, but I'm just going to go through the comments until we run out. The only hockey YouTuber, Arizona YouTuber, is Mark Bergevin. It's an inside job. I'm a Sharks fan, Nick. Yeah, Von Hook has the Sharks in his profile, so he's a big one.
Outstanding.
Do you still think Carolina will be good after losing Skinner? That really depends on Darling. I still think that they'll be a decent team, but it's the goaltender. Hockey community here is insanely close. Yeah, if anything, it's not really a giant group. I mean, you got big guys like Post to Post, the hockey guy, but if there's one thing, it's insanely close, and we're pretty much like a giant community.
Yeah, I mean, we're always jumping into each other's streams too. Like Louis over here, I knew he'd be here.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. It's like everybody really supports each other. It's just, I think it has something to do with a lot of Canadians being in the community, stereotypical nice people, but it's great.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's great that there are streamers who are covering teams that you don't really get to hear all that much about. So like yourself, Dallas is a huge sports market, but not necessarily for hockey, or at least it's not like at the top of the food chain for the media. So, obviously it's good to see some sort of coverage there and to see some enthusiasm from that market. I'd say the same for the Sharks because they play second fiddle to the Kings. Even teams that are in the middle of Canada, they don't necessarily get as much coverage. So hopefully we can also interact with some other personalities there.
Yeah, exactly. With the Dallas Stars, I made videos of them because nobody else was doing it. And I wanted to do something along with Steve Dangle with the LFRs. But I wanted to make something that I would want to watch. And when it comes to the Dallas Stars stuff, I love to just bring in everything Dallas, and I also like to give that out.
So when the draft happened, did you see a lot of oh, that was my dog. Did you get a lot of subscribers through that? A lot of buzz?
I was at the draft, so I wasn't able to do a live stream for that. I would have done that if I stayed home, but going to the draft was amazing. But with the draft, I think everybody really, I guess everybody really grew from that. There was a lot of just overall growth. And I know guys that were covering scouting and the draft in general, like Matt Levine, really grew from that. But the draft in general, I think was good for everyone.
Mm-hmm. I think that's actually how I came across your channel. So I was interested because I'm going to be, I'm in the host city for the All-Star game essentially. So I'm thinking that I'll want to find a way to provide some fun coverage of that. My pipe dream would be to actually get various YouTubers to come out here for the All-Star game. I know it's kind of hard to get tickets, but I do have an extra ticket. I'm just saying.
Ooh. That's an enticing offer. I'm just going to say that.
Maybe I'll do some crazy giveaway or something like that.
Crazy meetup.
Yeah.
How's the stream going? Looks good now. Yeah, it's going a lot better. Going a lot better. But yeah, as everybody's saying in this chat, rest in peace to Stan
Yeah.
Mikita. And that was just, it sucks, man. I hate to see that happen, but he had an amazing career.
Yeah, and he was the pioneer for a couple of things. He was one of the first players to wear a helmet, and he was also the first or one of the first to use a curved blade. So those are big advancements for the game.
Yeah, exactly. I have a tweet here. Stan Mikita remains the only player in NHL history to win the Art Ross, the Lady Byng trophies in the same year, and he did it twice in his career.
Yeah, consecutive years too.
Yeah, that was just craziness.
Yeah.
I think he was like first in assists, first in games played for the Blackhawks. I think he was second in goals behind Bobby Hull, something like that.
Yeah, I think that what's interesting is that he's actually one of the first European-born players to be very successful in the NHL too.
Yeah.
It wasn't up until I think like the 80s where you actually got a lot of folks coming in from the former Soviet Union and from Sweden and Finland and whatnot. So I think that that's something that kind of gets a little bit overlooked considering he lived most of his life in Canada, and also that he wasn't even that highly touted of a prospect or of a player when he first came into the league. It actually took him a few seasons until he really started to flourish too.
Yeah, he was a pioneer there in a lot of ways. Let me see. Carolina will be cellar in the Metro. You heard, or it will be this in the cellar in the Metro. You heard it here, folks, or you heard it here first. So he's saying they're going to be in the bottom.
I obviously the loss of Jeff Skinner hurts. In terms of who else they'll be competing with for that spot, I've thought that the Islanders aren't as bad off as it seems. I think that maybe they have a chance to still be pretty productive on offense. I know that obviously defense and goaltending has been an issue for them before, but I'm interested to see how Robin Lehner works out there. The Rangers, they also could be vying for the cellar too.
Yeah, just New York State in general.
Yeah, that's true. Carolina, I want them to be good though.
Exactly. Same with Arizona. Just be good for once.
Yeah, really. Yeah, but I don't think that there's one team in that division that's completely dominant. I think that it comes down to 3, if not 4 teams. I'm going to say something very controversial right now. I want the Devils to be good, but I actually think they could regress this upcoming season just because, I mean, for Taylor Hall to basically take that team on his back, to do that again, I'm not entirely sure. You look at that scoring difference between him and, Nico Hischier, even though he's just a rookie, but there's nobody else who's like putting up a ton of offense.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with that. If Hall doesn't have an MVP type season again, I can see the Devils missing unless some guys jump up. Same with Colorado with McKinnon. I could see them dropping out. They're 1 point out of the playoffs and have a tiebreaker. If Grubauer doesn't pan out, then I could see them missing for sure.
Yeah, that's actually a good point too. Is Varlamov the kind of guy who's gonna, play at a starting goaltender level with a full season, or are they gonna actually have to go to Grubauer more often? If you take away that top line, how good is Colorado? I think they have good players, but I haven't seen enough from them. Like, I think that Alex Kerfoot is kind of a good under the radar player, but again, can he take that next level with that second line?
They have a lot of young guys like Jost, Kerfoot. As you said, I really like Kerfoot.
Yeah.
But they got a lot of solid guys that I could see breaking out, but it might take a little bit longer than that.
Yeah. Yinzer saying that the Sabres and the Yotes could both be in the playoff discussion this year. What are your thoughts on that?
I can see it for sure. Buffalo, I think, can make great strides, same as Arizona, but we said the last few years and they haven't done so. So I wouldn't bet on them, but I could definitely see it happening.
It'll be interesting. I think also St. Louis is interesting in that you have so many different new faces there. So what does it really take for that team to like kind of they almost have to create a new identity at this point before they before they can get on a roll there. I mean, Arizona, I didn't think they were going to be as terrible as they were the first 2/3 of last year. And then they finally put it together with Antti Ranta and Nicholas Hjalmarsson and Richard Panik. So, they brought in a bunch of new guys this year. It's like, do they have to go through that process again? But I mean, on paper, I really do like what these two teams are doing.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm gonna make a hot prediction here. If Antti Ranta is healthy throughout the whole season, the Arizona Coyotes make the playoffs. That's my prediction.
Cool. I can get on board with that. I think that they're overall trending in a better direction than a team that's been in the playoffs for a while, like the Anaheim Ducks. And so, I mean, it'll be very competitive in that division nonetheless. But yeah, I think they're on the up and up.
Yeah, I can see their youth developing, especially if I see Edmonton likely getting a lot more competitive. I see the Pacific Division kind of flip flopping. I can see LA missing the playoffs. I can see Anaheim missing the playoffs. There's a lot of teams that could like just
Yeah.
completely be in the mix.
Yeah, and you know, we still can't make a decisive call on how Vegas is going to perform. That's all we learned last year. So for all we
Yeah,
know, they could
exactly.
put up 120 points, right?
The reason I'm subbed to more than one hockey channel on YouTube is because everyone brings something different and has a different focus. Yeah, smart for sure. But yeah, there's a lot of people covering a lot of things, and it's fantastic, especially from a viewer point of things. Um, let me see. Going on the Winter Classic. Oh, see, that one was Chicago versus Boston, right? That's amazing.
Oh, for this year in Notre Dame, at the University
Yeah.
of Notre Dame. Yeah, that if you ever have a chance to go to a college campus, whether that's for a sporting event or otherwise, you got to go to Notre Dame. I mean, the surrounding town isn't much, but that is like one of the most pristine campuses I've ever seen. It's like, you know, Jesus is walking the grass when nobody's noticing or something like that. I don't know.
I was in, or Indra says I was in Tampa for the All Star game last year. It was expensive. I
Oh,
believe you.
that's a fun place to watch a hockey game, by the way. I went earlier this
I
year.
just Tampa's my second favorite team, and I
Yeah.
just want to go there someday,
Oh,
please.
you totally should. It's oh my gosh, I had so much fun there. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be amazing.
Who is the dark horse for the Stanley Cup this year? Okay. Well,
Columbus.
ooh, okay, let's hear about it.
If Seth Jones continues to be a Norris defenseman, yeah, I said it. He's a Norris type defenseman. If he continues to develop, if Bobrovsky cannot choke in the playoffs this time, I think that they have a definite chance. For me, they have so many young guys that can improve. Dubois can turn into a first line
Yeah,
center this next season.
good point.
The defense is already stacked. They pretty much got Team USA's defense on their team. If
Yeah.
Bobrovsky continue to play well, then there you go. And they got some good depth guys. They got Claire in the offseason. They got Riley Nash in the offseason, who I want another Dallas Stars. They made some decent improvements, and I think that if they don't face the Penguins again, I think that they can have a solid chance.
Interesting. Yeah, I guess you make a good point in that they don't have like one elite player on the forward lines, but they have a lot of solid players and players who could develop even further in just about a year or two. So I think that's a good pick. My dark horse is actually going to be Florida. So I
Ooh,
say
I like
Florida
that.
because their top six is insane. And I think that Mike Hoffman playing potentially with the likes of Vincent Trocheck and Jonathan Huberdeau, he's going to put up bigger numbers than he did in Ottawa. I think that there may be a defenseman away, but if they can get, I think, reliable goaltending from James Reimer, who I think is, again, I think he's a good backup. And I think he can actually be as much as a kind of a 1B starter. And then you combine that with the way that Luongo played last year. Definitely go look at his stats. He had like a 927 save percentage or something ridiculous.
Yeah, he
I
was amazing.
I think Florida, especially with the spotlight off of them, I think they're going to make a ton of noise. And watch out. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that they do. I really like Florida going into next season, just because again they're like what 2 points out of the playoffs last year, and they made so many good strides on paper. I think that they have a great chance.
Yeah, I think that they're like one of the most exciting teams to watch. I love their announcer too. He cracks
Oh
me up.
yeah, I love
Yeah,
Florida's announcer. He's like so wacky, but he just works so well.
yeah.
All right, he enter John Gibson's contract. Let's do that.
Ooh,
I like it. I like it. John Gibson to me is like one of the most underrated goaltenders in the league. He's like in the last 3 years has been like one of the best save percentage guys. And he last year the Anaheim Ducks were just letting shots go by. Like they were pretty banged up on defense and on forwards last year, but still somehow made the playoffs. So with John Gibson, like yes, 8 years is risky, but the cap I think is fine for them. That contract is good.
you know, I don't really see too many contracts going too deep for them, so I don't think it's that bad to commit to him. Anaheim, if they've always done one thing well, it's actually produce goaltenders. You look at Jaguar, you look at Jonas Hiller, he had a few really good years. You look at Brizgalov, right? He could have been their number one for a long time. So, I don't think it's that bad. I look at the contract that my guy got, Martin Jones, right? He's making just I think he's making 6.25, so almost the same. Not for as long of a term, but if I think about John Gibson, it's like, okay, is he worth something like that? And yeah, I think that you're right. Like a save percentage and his age, he's a fairly young guy. I say, why not?
Yeah, I think it's a good one. It's not the best in the world. You would have liked to see the years down, but again, locking him up is not the worst thing ever.
All right, comment there. OBJ13. He says that the Sabres announcer, he means Rick Jenneret, is the best. And he's making a reference to Fa la 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 Fontaine. And you're absolutely right. Absolutely right. The best phrase in hockey is top shelf where mama hides the cookies. So you get cookie points.
Yeah. Also, you got to give kudos to Mayday.
Yeah, for sure.
Thoughts on Flames? I don't give a chuck. They're going to make the playoffs, probably.
Oh, Calgary. Oh boy, yeah. They have potential, obviously. Matthew Tkachuk is developing very well. Monahan is a beast. Gaudreau is one of the absolute best playmakers in the league.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how their new coach jives with them. And then it'll also be interesting to see how James Neal fits. I mean, James Neal fits in just about everywhere at some point. So I think that things are trending up for Calgary. But again, that's, with the Pacific Division, there's going to be a logjam basically between third place and sixth place, third place and seventh place even.
Yeah, the Calgary Flames could make that second spot, which I think they have potential on. That Pacific Division is really up in the air. You could see Golden Knights winning that. You could see the San Jose winning that. Yep. I could see Calgary winning it. It's everywhere.
Yeah, I wouldn't count them out. I mean, I could even see LA, LA could win it if Dustin Brown has the kind of year he does and Jeff Carter is healthy and scores 30 goals, right?
For me, LA is just such a weird team. I could definitely see them I could definitely see them missing hard in the playoffs, or missing hard out of the playoffs. Or I could see them being really, really good.
I guess the thing that concerns me with LA is that I just don't know if their young talent is quite there yet. I've liked what I've seen from Iafallo and Toffoli.
Is really good.
Kempe and Toffoli. He's still pretty young, but I don't want to say that he disappointed last year. He just didn't take the step that I anticipated. So, you just don't want, at the end of the day, you don't want too much to fall on quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
OC says, who rises first, Sabres or Yotes? I'd say they're pretty similar teams, but I have Coyotes first.
I don't know. I think that the Coyotes have a chance to be in that mix in the Pacific, whereas with the Sabres, they're going to be competing with some of the heavy hitters in the NHL. So, I mean, I guess you're right. The Coyotes have more momentum anyway, I think, because they finished last year, with I think like 39 points in their last 27 games.
Yeah, they were really good on that second half. So I wouldn't be surprised if they could translate that to next season.
Okay, Egg 324. Who will finish in last place in the NHL this year? So, Montreal or Ottawa? What's your take?
I think Ottawa is going to be better, and that's just because I think the NHL is just so wacky and all over the place that I think Ottawa can be better. And it all depends on if Erik Karlsson gets traded or not. Because if Erik Karlsson gets traded, they're going to be worse. But I think that since they still have him, I think they'll just be a little bit better. I think they'll be around the same disaster, but it's still a little bit better. Because I think Craig Anderson had an abysmal year last season. If he rebounds, I think they'll be better.
Well, I don't want to make this excuse and just rely on it entirely, but it's always helpful when an older goaltender doesn't have to make a deep playoff run. He'll actually have some time to get some rest, because you look at him, you look at, oh God, who's another good example? Well, Luongo's kind of an example in that, those guys, they can be a lot more effective if they're, playing 50 games a year instead of 70, right?
Yeah. Aki Deception, what's up? Let me see. I don't mean Toronto in Canada, but like it's Canada. I meant it's a good part. Do you like the Penguins radio announcer? I know the Penguins TV announcer. I know they're pretty biased. That's what I've heard.
I don't know the radio announcer, so I can't comment on that so much.
Let me see. Islanders went on a end of season winning streak in the same conference the Panthers are in 2 years ago. They didn't make the playoffs. Buffalo's management team has flipped on a dime. I fear the Sabres the most in the division. As a Leafs fan, they might end up tweeting our chances of dominance in the division. I'd give that more of a chance to Florida.
Over Buffalo.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I still like Florida and that those guys have been playing together longer, and I mean, they're pretty young as well. Most of their stars are in their prime or haven't even reached their prime yet. Barkov's like what, 23? Yeah,
he's super young and super good.
Let's see. Question egg 324. Twister, what other sports do you like? Well, I like American football. I have to say American football because of international viewers here. My team for that is oddly enough the Minnesota Vikings. So kind of like being a Sharks fan, right? You think they're going to be really, really, really good and finally get to that next level, but they just kind of crush your spirits eventually. So I've been enduring that for only about 20 years. I also like baseball a little bit. Big San Francisco Giants fan, and I'm talking about not since 2010. I was a Giants fan long before that. And yeah, that's about all I follow right now. NBA, I'm not really that into it. I'm at this point now where I kind of don't want to see the Warriors win a championship because it's just getting boring. So yeah, that's about it.
For me, when it goes to NFL, I'm a Cowboys fan. It sucks. I mean, I'm not old enough to remember them being good. I've just been old enough to remember them being very, very mediocre. So I haven't had the best time with them. And in baseball, I'm a Rangers fan. Please end my suffering. And in the NBA, the Mavericks and the Magic are kind of combined for me, but I just don't care anymore, to be honest, just because of the Warriors.
Yeah, I mean, what's the point in following basketball? Unless you're a fan of the Warriors or two other teams. Unless
you're like a Celtics, Warriors, Lakers fan, like, why would you care?
Yeah.
Who will be the most disappointing team this year? I'm Anaheim, I will say.
Most disappointing, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do let my bias show because I'm a Sharks fan, right? And I mean, I just saw them against the Sharks and they looked lost. I know that this season was kind of a wash for them in that they had so many injuries. They do have a lot of talented players, but the thing is that I mean, as good as Raquel is, it's like, do you have anybody else who can kind of make the progress that he's made in the last couple of seasons and step it up to that degree? And I'm not really sold on that for Anaheim.
Yeah, I mean, they got some decent prospects, but they don't got like a lot of impact guys. Like kind of like Dallas, besides like Mira Heiskanen, like they don't have any guys that are going to be really, really good in the next couple of years. And I see that kind of the same with Anaheim.
I can think of pieces here and there. I like, I liked the run that Andre Kasho was on for a little while, but then he had cooled off.
Yeah, he's pretty solid.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm not really sure who their upcoming prospects are. Defensively, I mean, they're sound, but those guys weren't all healthy for this last year. And I mean, it's just going to be interesting kind of from a culture perspective because, yeah, I think that Getzlaf is still going to be around. He'll still probably finish as a Duck unless for some reason they don't make the playoffs for the next few years and they want to trade him away. But eventually there's going to be a point where Raquel or I don't know, like a Hampus Lindholm needs to come in there and assert themselves as the captain of this team. And I think of Chicago kind of like that too.
Yeah, they're in that transitioning phase to me where they're going to be pretty meh. I don't see them being like a consistent playoff team from now on, like they have been.
Yeah.
I don't give a cut, Chuck. Is it realistic to say Toronto wins the cup? I'd say there's a decent chance, but I think there's better teams.
My gripe with Toronto is they give the puck away so much. You got to look at just their four defensemen, like their top guys there. Morgan Riley, Nikita Zaitsev, Ron Hainsey. Like, look on hockeyreference.com and see how many times they give the puck away. Compare that to how many shots they give up. So basically what I'm saying is that they give up a ton of shots because they're giving the puck away too much. And as a result, Freddie Anderson has to stand on his head every other game. And so I just don't think that's sustainable when you're going up against Tampa, when you're going up against Florida, when you're going up against the team that beat you in Game 7, and now when you're going up against the Buffalo Sabres even. So that's, I think, that's what could hold them back unless they, I don't know, new system in place. I'm not sure, but the numbers are definitely there.
Yeah, for me, the defense is the big question. Like they got John Tavares, that's great, but they don't really need him on that offense.
Right.
They needed a. I don't think there was any defenseman that really fit within this past free agency, but they just needed a guy, that solid top 4 guy. They could have gotten like a Matt Dumber or something.
Yeah. Here's a interesting question coming from Akuma's Deception. That's a cool name. What should Chicago do with Jonathan Toews? He's been on the decline for the past 3 seasons. He's making $10.5 million, and he's putting up between 40 to 60 points a season. So I'm not sure exactly how long they have him for, but I think it's probably another like 5 years or so. So yeah, I mean, they need to kind of get that next guy who's going to assert himself as the leader of that team, even if Toews is still under contract.
Yeah, the Toews contract is just going to get worse. It's like, I don't think that a lot of teams would take it right now just because of how much he's declined. So it's kind of like an unmovable contract in my eyes. And I don't think the Blackhawks would want to trade him just because he is that franchise guy, to them at least.
Yeah, I guess while they're still waiting for somebody to step in, I think that one capability for a GM that, I sometimes forget about is that they can also, I know that this happens with baseball, but like Chicago in this case could trade him, but still kind of like front part of his salary so that they're paying for $5 million or they're paying for $6 million. And then the other team can kind of pay for the remaining portion. Sometimes that's strategic if you want to be able to, buy somebody for a cheaper price. But yeah.
I don't think there's a lot they could do with it. Like Chicago, they're just a very unflexible team, even though we got a little cap space this past season. Active Deception says again, Vancouver is quietly building an extremely deep team. I do agree with that.
I mean, I'm just excited to see Brock Besser again, for sure.
Yeah, if he can stay healthy, that's going to be great. But their prospect pool is very, very solid. And they got some star guys like Pedersen, Quinn Hughes, but they got a lot of solid guys as well that'll fill minor roles on the team.
Yeah. Also this year, we're going to figure out if they have a franchise goaltender. I know we kind of said that last year, but they had this guy coming up from, I don't know if it was the AHL with Utica, but I'm drawing a blank on the name. But I know that's the guy, yeah, because I remember Shannon was talking about him in a few videos. So I think that we're going to get some Demko time this year.
I hope so. He's looking to be like, besides like Ottinger, like the future of USA goaltending if he can develop. Hopefully.
Ooh, good question from Louis VGK Coverage. Am I nervous about having Kane for 7 years? Yeah, I guess I'm a little bit nervous for 7 years. We didn't really get that big of a sample size when Kane came over to the team. I think what the big impact that doesn't really get talked about was how much Joe Pavelski's productivity increased. Of course, the caveat with that is that Joe Pavelski is in the last year of his deal. So, and he's 34 years old. So I don't know if they're going to keep him around. Kane brought a energy and a tenacity that I thought was missing with the team. And so while I don't necessarily expect him to be putting up 50 or 60 points every season, I think that he's always going to kind of bring that edge. And for the Sharks to have guys in their locker room like Joe Thornton, Pavelski, Vlasic, guys who know how to kind of control the locker room environment, I still think they should be okay with Kane.
Yeah, I don't hate the contract as a lot of other people do. The $7 million is shaky. I think the years is fine, but the Sharks are in a position where they can use the cap. I mean, they were in the John Tavares conversation, and they probably will be if Tyler Seguin makes the free agency next season. So I think they have that cap space.
Wait, can Seguin play? Can he play wing at all?
I think he has, but he's mainly a center.
Okay, because the Sharks, I like their center depth mostly, but the thing is that they need that right-handed shot. Somebody's gonna Temu their way for 30 goals a year. They need that right-handed shot because they don't have a goal scorer, especially when you take Pavelski off the roster.
Yeah, they're gonna have to find a way to fill that.
Couple other other Sharks questions. Somebody asked if I was a Black. I just collect jerseys, and I wanted to wear this because Stan Mikita's passing. Just two more quick ones. Thoughts on the Logan Couture contract? He's an amazing player. There's that. And does Joe Thornton retire after this season? I mean, Joe's got to make it through 82 games this season. If he does, I think that there's a possibility he could come back for one more year. I was talking to my friend about this, who's a season ticket holder. Basically, he was saying that with Thornton, he took $8 million last year, but that was almost a way of kind of investing in him for the next year too. It's a little complicated, but Thornton possibly could come back one more year if he stays healthy. As for the Couture deal, Logan Couture is a lead by example player. I'm going to say a bold statement here, and I'm biased as hell. But if you look at Logan Couture's playoff run in 2015, 2016, and going into the Cup Finals against the Pittsburgh Penguins, he blew the competition away in scoring. And I do think that he actually put up an exceptional performance that should have given him the Conn Smythe Trophy. If you look at the numbers, Couture should have gotten that. He was left out of NHL Network's top 20 centers, which I'm not surprised to hear because center is like the most competitive position in the NHL. But he is a terrific leader, a very versatile playmaker, and yeah, I love me some Couture. But anyway, bias.
Yeah, I do like it. The San Jose Sharks are one of my favorite teams. I think they're top 5 for me. But the 2016 Cup run was one of the main reasons I'm pretty biased or I'm pretty honest about being a bandwagon from that year. Of course, they lost to the Pittsburgh Penguins, but Logan Couture was one of the reasons, and I do really like that contract just because I think he'll keep performing.
Yenzer says Kessel should have gotten the Smythe. I think that if anybody on the Penguins could have gotten the Smythe other than Crosby, yeah, it should have been Kessel. I don't give a Kachuk says Monahan was left out of that top 20. I know he was left out. Like when I saw Shannon's list earlier today, he had some omissions there that obviously, you could make the case that guys like Barzell should be in the top 20, even though he's played for one season. So yeah, I mean, like with center, you almost have to make a top 30 or top 40 list in order to get all-star caliber players on there.
Yeah, the centers are just so stacked.
Yeah.
The Pacific Division is the weakest division in the NHL, says Von Hook, and I agree with that.
Yeah, I can agree with that too. I mean, I think that you look at the bottom 3 in the Atlantic, though, and so in other words, even though the Atlantic might have 1 or 2 or 3, guys. Yeah, you're right. They're very top heavy.
The Central Division is hands down the best division in the NHL, and I can't take anybody seriously that disagrees with that because I've lived in the Central Division. I've experienced the Central Division. I've experienced the pain of the Central Division, and it's like with the Central Division, even though Chicago Blackhawks missed the playoffs, the All-Stars missed the playoffs, any team in that division could make it next year. I could see Chicago being competitive. Crawford is healthy, and like any team can make it, and that's how crazy that division is.
Absolutely. With Chicago, I think that they kind of needed a year to kind of recuperate from what had happened in the past 2 with exiting in the first round. And at the end of it, Patrick Kane is still an amazing player. They've got DeBrincat, they got Nick Schmaltz, who is kind of under the radar. And you're right, they bring Corey Crawford in, and we'll see what happens with them. I think that you could put any of those 5 teams in the playoffs. The only ones who I think are in for sure are Winnipeg and Nashville and probably St. Louis. But as for the others, we don't know.
Detroit versus Vancouver, who's better? I'd probably say Detroit because they just got the better players overall. The Coyotes have Datsuk, Pronger, and Hossa. They're winning 10 years ago, for sure.
Oh my God, that would be amazing.
Will Dahl win the Calder? He's got a good chance for it, but for me, there's going to be some underdog guys in like we saw last year. I mean, it was supposed to be Nico Hischier versus Nolan Patrick, and it was nowhere near that. I feel like we could see some underdogs next year. Not as many, but my underdog pick is Ryan Donato for sure.
Donato, remind me where he went.
Boston, he played like 10 games.
Oh, he played a little bit last year. Okay, yeah. I mean, especially in his first game, I really liked what I saw there.
Yeah, he was amazing. And I didn't get to see too much of Boston, but he was amazing of what I got to see. Let me see.
I think somebody thought it was funny how I said that St. Louis was a shoe-in for the playoffs when they lost 6-2 against the Avalanche in the last game for the wild card.
I wouldn't call it a shoe-in, but they're pretty close, I'd say.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Yager for Calder. So would that be Yager's grandson or?
No, great grandson.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I heard he was a top prospect. Like I heard he was top 5 for sure. Who do you think stands the best chance of winning the Calder this year? Well, I already said my underdog pick was Ryan Donato, but I'd have as Casey Middlestat.
Yeah, those are great points too. I don't think that I have really studied the rookies in the NHL too well. I think, just based off what I've seen from Donato, and given that Middlestat will be playing with a team that could be in playoff contention, that always helps. I like what I saw from Filip Zadina though, so I think that he's going to be a guy to watch right from the get-go.
Yeah, he's going to be really good, especially against the opportunity of Detroit. The thing with me and picking Middlestat is because they traded Ryan O'Reilly, and Middlestat was already like a third-line center for them, so I think he's going to get a lot of opportunities next season.
Yeah.
Banking on Money says, what do you think about the Wilson new contract with Washington? Do you think they paid too much? Yes.
Yeah, I think it's not a bad thing to keep him around for 6 more years, but that is a little bit of a hefty cap hit annually.
Yeah, $5 million is just crazy. You should have gotten like 3.5. I'd say it would be worth that. But yeah, he's the sandpaper on that line. But he put up like 35 points with Backstrom and Ovechkin. Even though he had a decent playoff run, I don't see too much growth from him. Patrick Kane says, bold question: do you think Buffalo has a shot at the playoffs? I'd say so.
I mean, I think that the 4 teams ahead of them are going to stay there, but stranger things have happened, and they have, on paper, they have the talent for it. But they're going to need Carter Hutton to play like he did in St. Louis's last year.
Yeah,
because if he goes back to backup, then no shot.
And they're going to have to really pray the Metro is not as strong next season, because if it's the same type of deal where the Metro is just stacked again, Buffalo, I don't see making it unless there's a flip-flop there.
Yeah. Oh, here's a good one from Von Hook. He says, or she says, I can't see the picture too well, but if the Colorado Avalanche get the first overall pick by way of Ottawa finishing last in the NHL, then they could be scary for the future.
I think they already are scary for the future, but it's looking like they're going to have a good pick next year.
Yeah, I see a lot of potential for the Avs. Let's see,
because they're a pretty good young team too. Minkby says, how many points do you think McDavid will have this year? I'd say at least 100. He's going to get more.
More than he did this last year?
No, just more in general. I could see him being around the same thing.
I don't see why not. The guy he's just on a different level.
Yeah, exactly, man. He played with like Ty Ratty for like 40 games last season, and just was still dominant with him.
The Koopa guy, hashtag Florida for the Cup. Yeah, well, they're my dark horse. You can't count them out entirely.
Which NHL players have both of you met, or your favorites you've met? So I'm going to go on a little bit of a story here. The only player I've ever met is, so of course I said I went to this past 2018 NHL draft in Dallas, and most of you guys know that already. But while I was exiting, I saw quite a few prospects. I saw Kotkaniemi, I saw Andre Miller. But after that, I walked up to the parking garage. I go up the stairs, and who do I see? Kari Lettinen. And then I start freaking out because it's Kari Lettinen.
Right.
While he's not the best player ever, it's still a pretty decent player there. I start freaking out, and then Kari Lettinen notices me, and he's like, come over here, bud. And I take a picture with him, and that was probably one of the funniest moments ever. and that was the only time I met an NHL player in like person, and we've actually talked. But that was an amazing experience, and he's an amazing guy from what I've heard, and from that experience, that was hilarious.
Yeah. I haven't honestly met too many NHL players. Baseball players I have. But a couple years ago, I was at a Sharks game and I was in one of the suites there because I had a friend who was going to the same game as me and he invited me and he snuck me in there. Long story short. And all of a sudden, in comes Mike Rathje of the Sharks. So Mike Rathje played during the 90s. And I mean, I've always thought that hockey players were big, but Mike Rathje was a giant. He was at least 6'6", I think. And my dad's 6'5", and this guy looked like he had a couple inches on my dad. And then, I mean, probably about 250, 260 solid. I mean, this guy was enormous. And there's this picture of me standing with him and my buddy. And I mean, I'm not short. I'm 6 feet. And I just look like a little shrimp because I'm like 100 pounds lighter than this guy. But it was super cool because I had no idea who he was going to even come into the booth. And all of a sudden, there he is. And he's like, oh, yeah, sure, I'll take a picture. I'm just like, oh, no way.
Yeah, Kari Lehtonen was like, I think he's like 6'4". He was pretty good, pretty much a giant.
Yeah. I am sweating in this Hawks jersey. I got to take this off.
I'll give you a minute. Vegas Golden Knights coverage says Brady Tkachuk is going to be a beast. I got a feeling. I think that he could be very, very good. Brady Tkachuk, I don't think he's fourth overall worthy, but to me, he's one of the more solid bets throughout the last draft. To me, he has a lot of solid NHL potential. Well, I don't think he has I feel like he might have first line talent, but I think he's going to be like a very, very very good second line guy. Let me see. Gardner sucks.
Like I said, look at the turnover numbers for the Leafs D.
Yeah,
that says it all right there.
Gardner was just crazy bad throughout that game 7 for Boston, but overall in the playoffs, he was still great offensively, but the defense just wasn't there.
Yeah. OC5412 says, my dad got to meet Sidney Crosby. He works security at the United Center, and someone introduced him to my dad. That is awesome.
Nice. I mean, you get a dad that works at the American Air or whatever. I drop link there, but that's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, just like hockey guys or hockey players, you know, they're most of them will, you know, oblige to something like that. You know, that's what's really cool.
Let me see. Taves and Kane are on the downturn. I don't think that Kane is like heavily declining yet, but we've already seen that with Taves. What contracts will the Leafs give to Nylander? How are they going to free up cap for Marner and Matthews for 2019 offseason re-signing? I'd say that they, for sure, Gardner is not staying on the team. I don't see that happening. They got some free agents that'll come off the Bucks. I think Marlowe is coming off in like 1 year, 2 years.
Yeah.
Something like that. But they've been pretty smart in their contracts and that some of their big guys are coming off the books. Win Matthews and Nylander come off the books. So I feel like they'll still have that cap space to work with.
I would think so too. And on the subject of Marlowe, just because he's coming off the books in 2 years doesn't mean he's not going to still keep playing. That guy has like a 420-something game streak right now. He already has like a 500-something one earlier in his career. He just doesn't miss a game. He's in amazing shape. So I think he could kind of keep playing through his 40s, really.
Yeah, I think he can go pretty early, kind of like a Chara that just stays forever and, you know, keeps that lifestyle going.
Yeah, actually, somebody asked earlier, should Chara retire after the next year?
It depends. I made a video about this like a couple weeks ago, but it all depends on how he's healthy. If he's healthy, then I think he can keep playing. But if he has like a serious injury, it's gone. Like, it's just like that. It can happen.
Question from Steven Leffler. He says, how do I feel about the Allen Americans not being affiliated with the Sharks? Okay, I will answer that. You just got to give me 20 seconds.
I'm going to some Allen American games in like probably this next season because I live like 20 minutes away from them. Then DeMarcus 008. I'm excited to have Monty as our new coach. Yes, I am too. As you can tell by the Dallas Stars shirt, I am a Dallas Stars fan, but I'm excited to have Mark coverage for sure.
This is how I feel about the Allen Americans not being affiliated with the San Jose Sharks. I heard that these guys are open for business, and so bring on the Solar Bears and the Sharks partnership.
You make me so jealous of that jersey. Oh my gosh. Besides the Swamp Rabbits, like that's the best logo, the best jersey, hands down in the ECHL.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I actually, basically, I had to go to Orlando because my girlfriend had a conference there for work. And I was like, Orlando, all right, what am I going to do when you're at the conference? And the Solar Bears were there. I didn't even know about them. It was literally because of Neil from Post to Post when he did the ECHL rankings. And I was like, wait, this is a team?
Something random.
Yeah, they actually play in the same arena as the Magic, too. So it was actually pretty fun.
Yeah, I think that is right. Does Minnesota miss the playoffs? It does depend on their health because they weren't like the healthiest team ever last season.
Yeah, I mean they just haven't. This is it's a cliche, but they haven't done enough to get better. You look at what St. Louis has done to get better, right? So if St. Louis could St. Louis replace Minnesota next year? Yeah.
Yeah, it all depends on what happens, right? Dallas needs forward depth, so Sagan and Ben can play on different lines. Playing them both in the same line limits them somewhat. I think that they'll have to spread out that Sagan and Ben Radulov line somewhat this next season. I see Radulov being the guy that goes down, but I see Ben, Sagan, and Nichushkin being a solid line throughout the whole season, and I see that happening. But for me, Dallas, yes, needs forward depth. They need a lot of it, but like, I'm not. I'd rather go after like a one or two second or third line guys rather than a Panarin or a Pacioretty because I know we're going to go up way too much for that. But I would have loved to get Jeff Skinner at that price for sure.
The Cooper guy says that Minnesota needs to get rid of Bruce Boudreau. And if you go to Urinating Trees channel, you will see that Bruce Boudreau has a legacy of failure.
He has that legacy of failure in the playoffs, though.
Yeah, it's a stigma. I wanted to say Matt Cullen is a saint, says Yinzer on Hockey. And you know what? He most certainly is. He certainly is. He's also kind of an ageless wonder out there. I remember seeing a fight of his, I think from like 1999.
Yeah, sounds about right. Randy Carlyle's on the hot seat this season.
Yeah.
I'd say so, especially if Anaheim doesn't make the playoffs. I'd say they do want to have enough. I'd rather have Carlisle just out just in general, but I think the Anaheim Ducks are going to get them one more season if they don't do too much next season, especially.
Yeah, I think that it kind of depends on whether or not the GM wants to kind of break up the personnel. I would look at that more before, kind of holding Randy Carlisle accountable for that specifically. Louis Vegas Golden Knights coverage says the Panthers will fire their coach, Bob Buchner, after he gets them to the playoffs. You're probably right.
Right, and then he goes to the Seattle team.
Yeah, really.
He just dominates there.
Probably right.
The Koopa guy says Kotkaniemi should have gone to Arizona with Montreal taking Zdeno. Kachuk with the one remaining of those two going to Ottawa. If it was a perfect world and Montreal not being stupid, then probably. But like going into the draft, we knew it would all depend on Montreal, and it did all depend on Montreal.
Speaking of coaches on the hot seat, OC 5412, he's asking, is Coach Quenneville on the hot seat?
I know a lot of Blackhawks fans that want him out, and I just don't understand that at all. I'd rather them fire Stan Bowman way before they fire Quenneville. And even though it might not be a great fit right now, you can find a way to make it fit with Joel Quenneville. Like, he's one of the best coaches in the league, if not the best coach in the league. You try to find a way to make that work. And it's not even like it's that his fault. I mean, the team is not that great right now.
Yeah, I agree there too. Actually, you had recently put out that ranking of coaches in the NHL. So when it came to doing that, I guess, did you find that your list was always pretty definitive, or did you see yourself kind of shuffling names up and down the list? Like, what was kind of the most hard for you in terms of, solidifying your list?
Yeah, I always had like a few guys in like that general top. Like I pretty much going in, I knew Gerard Gallant was going to be number one, but after that, I had no idea. And I had some idea of the last ones, but really that middle part was probably the hardest just because do I really want to put this guy so low? Do I want to put this guy so high? that's the hardest part of those kind of lists for sure.
Yeah, how do you take a guy like Quenneville? I know that you had put him high, but you take a look at the last season, and you look at even Tortorella, right, where he's been to a cup final before, and his teams recently have fallen short. Like, how much do you actually place on the coach versus the actual players themselves, the actual GMs? I think that ranking coaches is super difficult. It's a lot more difficult than GMs.
It really all depends on your basis. Do you really go for recent performance or past performance? It's the same thing like captains and even the players overall. Like I remember the top 10 position players I did, I think like a month ago. Those were one of the hardest just because I tried to mix both past performance and recent performance, but it's super hard to do that.
For sure.
Lamarcus says, "What's up? How's it going?" And Larry Lunch Bucket says Yamamoto for the Calder. I think that he has a solid chance. If he gets the ice time, with Edmonton, I don't see why he wouldn't. I think he has a great chance. Mink B says, who do you think will win the Calder? I've already said my dark horse pick is an auto, but I think it'll be Middlestat for sure.
Let's see. Oh, yeah, and on the subject of Kyler Yamamoto, I had learned that he was from Spokane, Washington. That is actually a small area, but it's actually kind of a hockey hotbed. It'd be kind of interesting to look that up and see some of the players who are from there.
Yeah, like the Spokane Chiefs, I'm pretty sure they're called. I think they're like a...
yeah, that's right, in the WHL.
Yeah.
Which draft year was the strongest class so far? Ah, yes, I think that, was it Justin, Hands Down Hockey, who put out a video about the 03 draft class, and that was just loaded?
Yeah, the 2003 draft, I'm trying to remember. Like, I remember looking back on all those drafts. I know the 2003 one was a standout. The 2007 one was very, very good. I think it had, like, Kane, Ben, Subban. There was some other drafts, but, like, there hasn't been a lot of great ones recently, but back then, like, there's some standout ones for sure. How do you think Svechnikov will do this season? Depends on who he plays with. I thought he was going to play with Skinner, but we'll see what happens. Obviously,
Yeah.
Skinner's gone. I think he'll do well. He could be in the mix. I'm going to say 60 points for him. I don't see much more than that.
Wither88 saying that apparently, I don't know what the grounds are for apparently, but if Chicago doesn't make the playoffs, then Coach Q and maybe Bowman will be fired. Ooh. I mean, Chicago's a tough market, but it's not that they haven't been able to destroy and rebuild before. So, obviously they had a winning culture for 10 years there, but if I think that, again, as we were saying earlier, it's something that we can't pinpoint or we can't place blame directly on Quenneville or solely on Quenneville. You look at their performance, over the past 10 years. And I know that What Have You Done Lately is integral to that. But again, it's you got to evaluate the personnel that the front office has brought in the first place.
Yeah, it all depends on the management, what they want to do for sure. Vegas Golden Knights coverage says, I don't think Dahlin wins the Calder. It's too obvious. If Cody Glass ends up playing, which I prefer him in the AHL at most, but if Cody Glass is in the roster, then Cody Glass. That's a dark horse pick as well.
I keep getting this one question from Andrew something. He says, will Charlie rejoin OSL? For some reason, that's not ringing a bell, Andrew. So I'm going to need you to kind of clarify what you mean by that. San Jose prediction. I think that even though, as I've said before, that Vegas is the team to beat in that division, I think that the Sharks are the safest pick to win it, because I think that you look at their four lines, and I think they have the best four lines out of any team in that division.
Yeah, they are very, very solid. I can see them winning it for sure. Larry says, is Carey Price a future Hall of Famer? The thing is, like, the team around him for the next few years is likely not going to be the greatest in Montreal. So he's likely going to have to be based on his performance when Montreal was good and when he was carrying the team. Of course, has no cups. I don't think he's gotten to the Stanley Cup final. So that'll be used against him a little bit. I still think that he's the best goaltender in the world when it comes to talent. But if he can perform, if he can get back to Carey Price that we know and love, I think he will be back. I think he will get there.
Yeah, I think it's possible for him to get back as well, assuming that he's okay and he's healthy. Okay, Andrew, something? Absolutely yes, 100%. Let's see. Do the Devils make the playoffs next season? I think we touched on this earlier. I think there's a chance they could fall off just because of those 5 teams in the Metro, and now you have the Atlantic more competitive this year.
Yeah. Let me see. You think the West will be 5-3, 5 teams from the Central and 3 from the Pacific? For sure. It depends on how the Pacific does, but the Central is just so good that most likely it'll be 5 in the Central.
I mean, I think that what's interesting with the way that the playoffs are designed is that you can have a division that's very, where all the teams are really packed together. And because of that, they beat up on each other and they have lower point totals. So, I mean, I think that is a big dynamic when figuring out who makes the playoffs versus who doesn't. Because, if the Central, you have Nashville and you have Winnipeg, those are clearly the top 2 teams. But
most likely.
Yeah. But for some reason, if they have a couple of injuries and Pecorine is just not too good right now, then who knows? Then maybe all of a sudden you've got 4 or 5 teams competing for 3 spots, and then that opens the doors for a team in the Pacific. So we'll see.
Yeah, there's one thing I've learned the last couple of years when it comes to the NHL, it's not predictable. While Winnipeg and Nashville may seem like the top 2, injuries have definitely hurt teams before, and I could see it happening again. Would you fire Don Waddle from the Carolina Hurricanes? Now, that I've never been on board of the Carolina Hurricanes signing him. I mean, he was like an ex-Atlanta Thrashers GM, which obviously doesn't shine the greatest light on him. But I think he's made some decent moves. Overall, I think he's been okay. But that Chef Skinner trade just absolutely blew it when it came to my stock on him. I already had it pretty low, but he was kind of trending up for me with that draft. And after that trade, I just did not like it at all.
I'm sure that Bergevin and him are really good buddies.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And on that subject, we got a question from Patrick McStubb, and he asks, or she asks, again, you never know. But how do you think Montreal will do this season?
I think they're going to be one of the worst teams in the league. I'd say bottom 5. I feel like it all depends on Carey Price, though, right? All depends on Carey Price.
Yeah. Shea Weber's health, I think, is a little bit of a factor there, too. And, he's going to be missing a pretty good amount of the year. So, yeah, I mean, and Pacioretty, you don't know if they're gonna trade him away. So things just don't look good for Montreal.
Yeah, it's meh for them. How did Yotes pass on Zadania? I asked this to myself every day. Me too. I don't understand how they did. Hopefully Hayden really pans out for them. I'm high on Hayden, but he's not a 5th overall pick is what they put him at. Let me see. Yotes needed a center, and they got one in Galchenyuk, and they got one in. They were kind of in the same situation as Montreal, where Hayden was a center. He was probably like if Kotkaniemi wasn't taken by Montreal, like Arizona would have gotten like that on him.
Oh, to clear things up for Wither 88. No. I collect memorabilia, kind of like Nathan does here. My team's the Sharks, but yeah, I got this when I was in Tampa at a game earlier this year.
Yeah. Yotes probably wanted a center. They were eyeing Kotkaniemi, so they took the best center. I wish they could have traded down, though. That's the big thing. Sabres to the playoffs, Jared says. I'm hoping that they can, but it's going to take a lot for them to do that.
Vaughn Hook asks, have you been watching the Hockey Guys history videos? I've watched most of them, I think. I think that's really neat, just actually recapping this long, rich, dramatic history of the NHL, because there's very little of it that we actually get to see from film, and the NHL Network can only put out so much content with regards to that. So, I know that Shannon obviously studies up on not just the game from what he reads online and what he observes, but also he reads a lot of books and guides and almanacs and that sort of thing. So, absolutely, I love watching that.
Yeah, if there's one thing that I can credit the Hockey Guy towards, it's just its overall knowledge of the game, I'd say.
Yeah.
Like I may have like some of the complaints on his content and whatever, but like the guy knows his stuff and he definitely takes that seriously. Will Eric Carlson stay in Ottawa or not? I don't know, honestly. Like, if he's like, if they don't trade him and he's a UFA, I'd still give him a better chance of resigning than Mark Stone. I think Mark Stone is completely gone after this next season. But for me, Eric Carlson, I like. Why would he stay? There's no reason to for him.
My thoughts is that he won't stay either, but I actually think that he'll play out this year. I think that one reason behind that is because the transition that he would have to make in the middle of the season to go somewhere else. You know, his wife is from that area, and they were obviously trying to have a child. So I think that in terms of just as a life decision, he needs like a set plan to do that. So I don't see him going earlier that year. The other thing is that somebody brought up the fact that Ottawa doesn't have a first-round pick next year, so that doesn't help. The likelihood they could retain Carlson.
Yeah, like they already are in a bad situation, and then that Duchesne trade comes along, which obviously looking back on it, like that just when it happened, we obviously most of us knew that Ottawa got the bad end of that, but it just got worse every single month, and we kept seeing that how Ottawa declined too.
Yeah, God, they were one goal away from the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, that was so mind blowing, man. I was really hyped on that run too. I really like what they're going on. I like their style. I like their defensive game. I just like the team overall. They were very likable that year. They had guys come. They had like MacArthur who were coming off of injury. Craig Anderson had that not the great story, but the very cheerful, not cheerful, the story that you could cheer for. It was overall a very likable team, and then they just like completely bombed both of the team and just the likability, in my opinion.
For sure. Matt Duchesne ruined his career with Ottawa. Well, I think that his productivity picked up later on in the season, but yeah, I mean, what is his contract up at the end of this next year?
I think it is. Yeah.
Okay.
And the extension wasn't part of the deal.
It'll be interesting to see who his suitors are, if he has them. Starts favorite team. Oh.
A ton of people are talking the Jets, but can Nashville still win the Cup? Yes, they can. They still have a great core. Jet says, hi, I'm new to the channel. Welcome. If you guys have not already hit that like button and subscribe button, this would be greatly appreciated. But again, go check out Twisted Wrister Hockey on YouTube. He's joining us today. He's done a great job.
Thanks for having me on here. It's been fun so far.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. Probably will be streaming for 30 more minutes, something like that. But yeah, it's been great so far. Thanks for everyone that's been in the stream so far. It's been a fantastic time.
Eddie Van Haskell. This is the funniest comment I've seen. Gary Bettman looks like the Count from Sesame Street.
That's actually pretty good. Yeah.
Kind of does. He's like, how many years has he been commissioner? Like 20.
I think he went in the league like the year
24?
before the Dallas Stars won the Cup.
Okay, so like 20 is like 20 years as commissioner.
Actually, no. I think it was
before that. Yeah, it's like 25.
It was like when the Rangers and the Canucks made the Cup finals, something like that. Let me see.
Ooh.
Jay Gardner is my favorite Leaf because he drives an Audi R8. I'm not a car person, but it sounds pretty good.
An Audi?
An Audi R8, apparently.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Here's a great question. Can the Caps repeat? Can't believe that. Yeah, it's the first time I've seen that on here.
They have a solid chance. There's a lot of teams in the Atlantic, though, that could compete for that, but I think that Washington Capitals still have a decent chance.
Well, let's see. Obviously, Barry Trotz is gone, and I think that Barry Trotz. I liked. How high did you have him ranked in your video? Like 4th or something?
I think it was like 4th or 5th. Yeah.
Okay. Good. I would personally put him. I don't know if I'd put him as high, but I definitely have him somewhere in that realm because I look at what he did with the Nashville Predators when the only like real star player they had was Shea Weber, and they were like making the playoffs every year.
Yeah, exactly. Like Nashville in that period, Barry Trotz was unbelievable, making that team way better than they should have been.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of talent alone, I think that Washington is still there. They didn't lose too much, assuming that Braden Holtby is playing like he did in the playoffs. but yeah, I mean, so I think that yeah, there's a chance, but even though Pittsburgh got to repeat, back to back, you're going to have teams in the Atlantic coming for you if you meet them in the Eastern Conference Finals. Even if you can get through the Pens again, even if you can, overcome a 2-0 deficit to Columbus, outscore Philadelphia. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. If the Washington Capitals have proved anything, they proved that it's like insanely hard to win the Stanley Cup. And for them to do it again, they still have the same team practically, but it's going to take a lot of good things to happen again. The Pittsburgh Penguins were one goal away from not winning the Stanley Cup back to back, and Washington Capitals, they could still make it. They could still have a fair salt chance, but it's going to take a lot of good things to happen again.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, if you look at who they could potentially face in the Cup Finals if they made it all the way back, assuming that Nashville or Winnipeg plays up to potential and isn't too gassed at the end of the second round like they were, I mean, that would be a slugfest of a series.
Yeah. I think it was Neil from Post to Post that don't quote me. I don't know exactly who said this, but they said somebody said that Vegas was one of the weakest losers to the Stanley Cup final that we've seen in quite a few years, and I think I agree with that. Like Vegas was fantastic leading up to the Stanley Cup final, but then they were just pretty meh throughout that Stanley Cup final. So I feel like Washington had a pretty easy opponent, easier than other, like if Nashville got in the Cup final, if Winnipeg got in the Cup final. I think they got a pretty easy opponent. I don't think that they'll do the same. I don't think they'll get that lucky again. All right. I wanted so badly for the Jets to face the Caps in the finals, so I think Jets will have a great chance to win the Cup. Yeah, I mean, they're one of the contenders there.
I mean, Winnipeg was the team I picked at the start of the playoffs, and I mean, yeah, I know that they don't have Paul Stastny, but when you consider that you have players that haven't quite reached their prime or haven't even spent that much time in the league, I think that that top 6, that top 9 is deadly. I think their defense is just imposing and punishing. I don't see why they can't, go all the way. So I think that they're definitely a serious contender.
Yeah, for sure. CJ, the Piss Off Stars fan, says, I just realized today is a curse day. 8 years ago today, Mike Modano sided the Red Wings. That was a...
Oh.
I like... A lot of Stars fans don't even know that he did that. Like, I didn't even know that until like a year ago. Like, it was just so forgotten that he did that. And there was a lot of... It was just a weird kind of situation where a lot of fantastic veterans, like a lot of fantastic star players in their 40s or late in their careers, were going to the Red Wings for just 1 or 2 years just to go for those cup runs.
Yeah, I think like Luc Robitaille was on there, and Brett Hull, and
yeah, I mean, there's so many. Ottawa needs to sell the deadline, especially Mark Stone. They signed him to 1 year. They have some ammo to trade at the deadline for sure. Gary Bettman doesn't like Canadian teams.
But it's Canadian team win the cup in 2019.
Ooh.
Winnipeg?
Then the conspiracies are all over. It was Bettman all along. That was my favorite the hockey guy video ever, and I think it'll always be that way.
I love that video.
That video is so genius.
I love how just like he just went straight for it, and like he didn't break character with it. He just like went on for like 20 minutes or so. I don't know. Yeah, I loved it.
He went full force, and it works so well.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, with this, with so many different YouTube personalities, it's like you can get such a great diversity of content on here. So
yeah, it's fantastic. Like if you want prospects, there's tons of guys for that. If you want, most of the time, most teams have at least one guy that covers them pretty heavily. Especially if it comes to most Canadian teams are like that, especially with Toronto or Vancouver. Got tons of fantastic guys. Thoughts on the Panthers commentator who screams "Hubie do we do" and when Jonathan Huberdeau scores. I've seen that so many times. Like I love it. I love it.
Oh yeah.
Could the Penguins win the Stanley Cup? They could, but will they? It depends on that defense. It really does.
They need the Matt Murray from the 2016 or 2017 run, probably. Yeah.
And they need him to have his glove actually working this time.
Yeah.
If
Okay.
the,
Do you?
you go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Let me have Wither or 88. If the Jets and Caps make the final, who would win? I think it would be Winnipeg in 6 or 7. This past season, I it's gonna be close. It would go 6 or 7 for me, but I'd still have Washington winning it.
I don't care who wins as long as Blake Wheeler and Alex Ovechkin fight. That would be a sweet fight.
Alex
Or Tom
Ovechkin
Wilson,
would
Tom
fight.
Wilson versus Buffalo.
If that series went 7 games, Tom Wilson would go all over the place.
Yeah. The other guy I like on Winnipeg is Ben Sherratt. That guy can fight too.
Yeah, they got some pretty underratedly feisty guys on that team.
Oh yeah, they got some big dudes on there too. Oh, here's a question from Akuma. He had been asking this a little bit earlier. Do you think that the McDavid Ryan Nugent Hopkins pairing could be deadlier than McDavid with Draisaitl? Draisaitl might be better, but RNH has the vision and hockey IQ to keep up with McDavid.
Isn't Nugent Hopkins more of a winger? Don't quote me on that, but Draisaitl is that center. I feel like Ryan Nugent Hopkins playing as the wing with McDavid will work a little bit better.
Yeah, I believe that was it all of last year that Draisaitl was playing on a separate line as McDavid?
I think they were trying to accomplish that. I mean, it was a smart
Yeah.
idea to replicate the Penguins, but I'm pretty sure that's what they were trying to do. I don't know if they did that, but I heard that they were trying to do that at least.
Yeah, I think that obviously they want to vary their scoring on those lines because, you know, other than McDavid and Draisaitl, who else is going to put up 50, 60 points, right? But although it'll be interesting to see the Oilers in terms of the development from the defense. I know that they always get a lot of flack, but you know, Darnell Nurse, I think if you look at his numbers, especially, and I think Larson, who was playing with him as well, a lot of blocks, a lot of hits, not just for defensemen, but overall good plus minus. So I think that those guys are going to keep developing, especially Nurse.
Tom Wilson should fight Slava Voinov. Hopefully that there isn't an opportunity for that. Foreshadowing.
Oh man, Yakupov could put up 50 to 60 points. Oh, I'm sorry. In what the B division of the KHL or whatever, B League of the KHL.
Let me see. Best fight ever on YouTube? Stan Jonathan versus Pierre Bouchard. Lots of blood. Ooh, you're going for the graphic stuff. I see you.
I will plug a video that I made just a few days ago. I made a video called 11 fights that I want to see in this upcoming year. So definitely check that out. We don't talk about enough fights on YouTube, so I think we should do it.
Yeah. Tom Wilson should fight Stan Jonathan. Tom Wilson should fight anyone, everybody. Just everybody on the street. If he walks past, just fight him.
Wait, did he didn't? One thing I did point out in that video though is that I don't think he's fought Michael Haley yet, and like, I mean, those guys have to scrap this year.
Yeah, they're in the same conference, so they're gonna get some opportunities.
Yeah.
Clefbaum over Larson, definitely agree on that. Clefbaum is one of the most underrated defensemen in the league if he's healthy. I think he had that shoulder injury, I think it was last season, which definitely held him back. But he's very, very good.
I mean, I like his shot a lot for sure. He's very, very good at moving the puck.
Draisaitl played about 58% of his 5-on-5 time with McDavid. There you go. So pretty much 50-50. Ben versus Backus are the best fights. Don't at me. Pretty much anything St. Louis Blues versus Dallas is amazing. 2016. Yeah. I'm always be disappointed. Still can't believe how much of a bust Yakupov has been. It's a really sad story. Yeah. Sucks.
I think that the Koopa guy in response might have said that Yakupov actually had a hat trick in his rookie season.
Yeah. He had, I remember the hype about him. I do.
Oh, yeah.
That 2012 draft, looking back on it, it's one of the worst ever.
Yeah. For sure.
Jamie Benn should fight Blake Wheeler.
Yes.
Jamie Benn should fight every captain in Central. Just do it.
I love captain fights. So
Oh
great.
yeah, for sure. Let me get on
It-
some stuff I didn't do earlier. Who are the serious contenders for the Cup? I'd say there's probably like 5. Nashville, Winnipeg, San Jose is somewhat in there, but same with Vegas, kind of. They're both kind of in there. Tampa, Toronto. For the Metro, you got Washington and Pittsburgh. My Rangers
okay.
suck. You go ahead.
Yeah, I think yeah, Nashville and Winnipeg. And do I think that there's another team in the West who could best them in a best of 7 series, or like, could somebody in like 5, if you were to play a 7-game series 5 times, is there a team out there that would beat either Nashville or Winnipeg 3 out of those 5 series? I actually don't think so. I think that those teams are still the best 2, although that, I mean, that doesn't mean I don't have dark horses. Like, my dark horse is Colorado. And in the Eastern Conference, I think Tampa Bay is still the team to beat in the Atlantic. I know that Boston, they're not really getting talked that much about, but I mean, they have such a deadly first line. They have pretty solid defense. I think it's good enough to hold up if Tuukka Rask declines. So I still don't think that you can count Boston out as a Cup contender. And yeah, Washington is still there. Pittsburgh is still there just because they're Pittsburgh. So I know that my picks aren't very exciting, but I
Yeah.
still go with that. Not to say that there aren't dark horses or teams that have a high ceiling. It's just that I don't necessarily think it's going to be like that in the season's onset.
Yeah, for me, there's only a few teams that I'd have as true contenders, but again, like it seems like there's always that team that we don't expect to be this in the Stanley Cup final, and pretty much both teams last year were teams that most people did not expect to get there.
Yeah, it's funny because everybody thought that Washington was going to be there, for the past 6 years before that. But yeah, it just wasn't their time. Even when the Sharks made the Cup, I mean, that was unexpected because the year before they missed the playoffs for the first time in like 9-10 years.
Yeah, it's crazy. Dallas Stars when they had that 104-point season, something like that. Like I expected them to be not the same type of team, but still very, very good, and they just catapulted down.
Here's a good one from Abs Boy. Abs Boy says that Winnipeg and Nashville are clearly the best 2 teams in, I think, the Western Conference, but it sucks that they have to actually face each other most likely in the second round every year because of the playoff seeding. And I do agree,
Yeah.
that does suck.
Yeah, it's the same thing with like Washington, Pittsburgh. You would like to see that in the Eastern
Yeah,
Conference Final instead of the second round.
yeah, I do miss the good old days of just placing all the teams in the same bracket, or mixing it up in the divisions. But yeah.
Who would have won in 2016, Stars or Sharks? Here's where my bias comes in. It would be close. It would be very, very close. But the goaltending for Dallas, I think, if it wouldn't get exposed with St. Louis already, I think it would be very, very exposed with St. or for San Jose that year.
No, I could see it. Niemi would have come in and he would have just like had 2 shutouts, and Pavelski would have had 0 goals. So no, Stars would have won that in 5 easily.
That's the series that the goaltending finally picks it up and finally gets consistent. Like that's the series, really. All right.
The fact that Bufflin is pronounced, or that Dustin Bufflin's name is pronounced Bufflin, bothers me more than it should. Well, that name is actually, I believe, Norwegian because he's part Norwegian. So if you were to actually say it in the Norwegian tongue, I believe it'd be something like Bufflin. So it would be very slurred and you wouldn't be able to pick up all the different letters in there. But yeah.
Boston definitely more of a contender right now than San Jose. To me, I don't have Boston up there because I think they lost a lot of depth. Like they got Zarnik left, Rick Nash. I don't think is returning to
Riley Nash, yeah.
Riley Nash, Rick
That's
Nash
right.
might not be on the team anymore.
Hudobin's no longer backing them up, and he had a really good year last year. I think that was a good pickup for Dallas for sure.
For me, like Anton Hudobin is, I think, the same kind goaltender when it comes to the stats, but I don't think in the same sort of style. Kyle Lennon is a backup, but I think Anton Hudobin, if Ben Bishop were to get injured, which might happen again next season, please God forbid, but if Hudobin, I think, has the potential to be a starter for like a week, be a starter in that stopgap to where Dallas needs, and that's what Kyle Lennon I think couldn't accomplish. Vega's going to dip into the wild card spot and get eliminated in the second round this season. I could see that. I could see that, honestly. Jamie Benn should fight Jordy Benn. I think they've had a couple of games between Montreal and Dallas when they've been split apart, but like it was amazing those couple of games where they're just kind of playing each other. Chara would eat Skinner for lunch, not a fair fight. Yeah, I mean some of the fights that you see Chara doing are against tiny guys, and sometimes he smiles. It's amazing.
Kick me hard on a treadmill. That's probably the most unique YouTube name I've ever seen. Mets fans need therapy. Okay. Well, you know, if we need to have a stream so that they can talk about their problems, the best help that we can be is a sounding board. So, you know, as a San Jose Sharks fan and as a Minnesota Vikings fan who has endured years of letdowns, I can definitely sympathize. You have my ear.
Yeah, this is where the confession comes in. The New York Mets are my third favorite team, and it goes Texas Rangers, who I grew up with, the St. Louis Cardinals second because that was my little league team, and third the New York Mets because I totally bandwagoned them in 2015, I think, when they made the World Series, and of course that did not end well.
Wait,
and it has been misery since then.
Yeah, for sure. Thoughts on the Metro? Who do you think are the potential bubble teams?
Philadelphia. Because if Giroux is not like god level offense next season, if Voracek kind of declines, if Couturier doesn't be the kind of sulky guy that we expect him to be, they could decline. They still got some young guys. That defense could develop. They're really a wacky team, and they could see either way.
Well, that's a good point that you make. I mean, Voracek's productivity, he had a career high, and he's not. I mean, he's just about in his prime. I think that, you know, he's a good player, but you're right. Giroux was leading the charge there, and I'm almost kind of surprised he didn't actually make it into the Hart conversation. I still think they have enough firepower offensively, even with like Konechny developing, with JVR coming in. But the big concern is the goaltending, hands down. So,
exactly.
Yeah, it's a big pitfall for them.
All right, see you later, Yenzer. Thanks for coming on. Niemi in his first season game last year against Chicago almost fell on his face and let in 4 or 5 goals, and he was a former Blackhawk. Yeah, that was not a great moment. But then he became a god in Montreal somehow.
Yeah, that was a hell of a bounce back.
Yeah, it was. Like I have a lot of Habs fans I have a lot of Habs subscribers and on the Discord as well. You know who you are, guys. But the Niemi is pretty much the running joke on the channel. Because being a Dallas Stars fan, we let him go. Oh, great. Well, he wouldn't have performed that great here. I don't know what happened with Montreal. They have a fantastic goalie coach over there, which does help. But Niemi just, I think, had a good stretch there. Let me see. I like Niemi. He won the Cup for us, 2010, baby. That was probably like the weakest Cup win for any goaltender ever, I'd say. I would like to see Cody McLeod fight Tom Wilson. That'd be one of the big ones, right? I think Cody McLeod's still playing. I think he's with New York right now. Third favorite team, the Mets. Sorry, but watch Meet the Mets, Yearning Tree again. That video is amazing, and I hate being a Mets. I'm not really a Mets fan. I cheer for them. They're my third favorite team, but thankfully I don't like avidly keep up with them because I'd just be completely in misery more than I already am. Philly should have more good bats graduating and become contributors next year, especially with their defense. Hopefully Sanheim is contributing next season. They got some solid guys there.
Absolutely.
OC's 3 favorite MLB teams: White Sox, very painful. Brewers, frustration. 3 Rangers, disappointment. You got the scale of just sadness. You got painful. You got frustration, and you got disappointment.
Oh. Well, at least OC didn't have to wait 108 years until his White Sox won a World Series.
Yeah, he's got one in this past decade. More than I could say with the Texas Rangers.
I'd like to see the Brewers make a run for it this year, actually.
Me too. I do like the Brewers. The only I like a couple teams in the NL West. I like the Rockies and the Diamondbacks. Hopefully, that one of them makes somewhat of a run.
Yeah. I'd say that my favorite team outside of the Giants in the NL West is whoever is playing the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Right?
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for the prospects, Dodgers. We'll take it, you Darvish. That was the
uh,
funniest thing ever. Like, right, Tigers Rangers Twitter when you Darvish blew that was the funniest thing ever because, like, we just sent a good thank you to the Dodgers for that because he showed his inner you Darvish and his inner Texas Rangers in that game 7 or yeah, game 7.
we've got an incoming bold prediction. Kick me hard on a treadmill. Says Brent Seabrook, the Seabiscuit, will have a comeback season.
I'd have Keith more in that department, but I wouldn't be surprised if Seabrook does that because he's like what 33 or 35 something like that. He's not the oldest player in the world. I could still see that. Supreme Hockey says who has the brighter future, Burakovsky or Jacob Vrana? I'm a really big fan of Burakovsky, but Vrana has made big strides. I'd have Vrana just a little bit over Burakovsky. They're both very solid though.
That game 7 from Burakovsky was unbelievable.
Dude,
He
like
single-handedly beat Tampa.
I Tampa being my second favorite team, that was a mix of emotions. Like I kind of had a feeling like I can't remember. I think I predicted Burakovsky to have a comeback game that game because Burakovsky was pretty much silent throughout the whole playoffs. I was thinking, I think I said it on one of my streams. That I think Burakovsky is gonna have a good game and gonna maybe score a goal or two, and he ended up just destroying Tampa in that one game. Wither's 3 favorite teams are the Cubs, Marlins, and I have no idea. I watch baseball, so you pretty much got two teams. Let me see. I've never seen a dismantling of a team worse than Ottawa. I'm legit shook by how things are turning out. Same, Andrew. I mean, we said that on the stream. 1 goal away from the Stanley Cup final. But yeah, Seabrook coming out. I could see that coming back. Yankees are taking it this year. Weren't they just swept by the Red Sox or something?
Yeah, that's not happening.
Seabrook has been trashed for a few years and was overrated before. He's not coming back. Again, it is a pretty bold prediction, but I'd have Keith more making a comeback than Seabrook. Keith had an abysmal year last season too. Let me see. Does Galchenyuk figure out center in Arizona? I think he'll be given the chance. That's a big thing. I like Montreal Expos baseball team. The Nationals, no, but the Expos were pretty good too.
One of the great logos in sports for sure.
Yes, for sure. And of course, you got Quebec, who was also defunct. That was with the Nordiques.
I was gonna say, did you see that the NHL Network just put out a list of their, I think, favorite 30 jerseys of all time?
No, was it on NHL.com? I haven't seen that.
It was on the NHL Network. I don't know if you can find somebody who kind of like ripped that video and put it on YouTube, but it was pretty interesting. I didn't see the whole thing, but I looked at the list. But yeah, you might be able to find that online.
I might check that out later after
Yeah.
the stream.
Okay, all right. So for the upcoming Adidas third jerseys, what do you think could possibly be like? What's the best third jersey that could be issued next year?
Right. Well, let me just start out with the ones that have been revealed so far. Anaheim by far. I love that jersey.
You love it. Okay.
I love that. I love it. I know that it isn't like the eggplant colors that we've been used to of Anaheim and their Mighty Ducks jerseys, but I love the black and how it just somehow works with that white and blue. I don't know. I just really do think it works.
I think that does work. What I don't like is that they have the stripe so high up, the bottom stripe, and it's diagonal.
Yeah.
And then And then they have the yoke as well. It just looks, that design looks pretty awkward. If they remove the yoke, I would like that. Okay. I don't like those shoulder patches either. So if you took the yoke out completely, I think that jersey looks really good.
I think that part is still good. I don't know if I remove it entirely, but I still like that part about it. But for me, there's a ton of potential with a lot of third jerseys. But St. Louis, if they could go back to their Winter Classic, I don't have that jersey in my collection somehow. I don't know why I don't, but if they can make that in Adidas, I'm buying it.
I am swooning for that jersey. I keep looking for a good deal online. I saw like this eBay seller. I got this notification on my phone today that said that the jersey was $75 off the original price. I thought that at first it was that the guy was saying that it was only $75 and it would have been a Jaden Schwartz jersey. I lost my mind. But yeah, that is absolutely in one of my top favorites and most wanted out there. I freaking love that jersey.
It's so good. If they can make that in Adidas and I don't even care if they replicate it. Just make that in Adidas and I buy it.
For sure.
Let me see. Both my teams, Yankees and Leafs, are the most hated teams in their respective sports. Yeah.
You know what you're getting yourself into. That's all I'm saying.
Exactly. That's like picking the Warriors right now in the NBA.
Yeah, no, really.
I think Joel Verby could turn out to be better than Oliver Wahlstrom. Yeah, I've heard. I know stories about that dynamic of how they're actually buddies in real life and they're just battling it out in the UCHL, USHL. But they're two really really good guys for USA for their future. Philip Chicho for the Calder. I could see that. I could see him being really really good. He's really really underrated too. Let me see. But yeah, going back on the third jerseys for me, my favorite team for Dallas. I want to see the bringing back. I want to see the bringing back of the star jersey. Just give me that again. Give me that again. All right. Brewers glove and ball over Expo's logo. That glove and ball logo is decent. I like that one.
That is one of that's kind of like the Hartford Whalers logo of baseball, I think.
Yeah.
It's a beauty.
It's a classic one.
Yeah.
All right. Since the chat is going a little bit slower and since people are kind of tuning out, I think we'll be ending the stream in 2 minutes here.
Yeah, absolutely. Any final thoughts on the latest rumblings in the NHL hockey?
Yeah, if you guys have anything else, make sure you comment down below. We'll get to it in the next few minutes. But yeah, if you guys not already hit that like button, hit the subscribe button again. Go check out Twisted Wrister Hockey's or not Wrister.
I know it takes a few. You have to say it a few times until it starts to finally ring. Yeah.
Thoughts on Ryan Suzuki? It's Nick Suzuki who is with Vegas Golden Knights. I think Ryan Suzuki is the guy going in the 2019 draft. He's very, very decent. And to me, he's going to be kind of like the Canadian Brady Tkachuk to where I think he's going to be a very solid player. I don't know if he has first-time potential, but he has very, very good, like, solid potential to make it. And he's like a top 15 guy for the 2019 draft. Leafs, Yankees, Jets, Knicks. Trust me, it's painful supporting the Jets and Yankees. Oh, Jets for football? Oof, sorry. Grav, can you at least give me some credit for doing my job? I have been blocking spammers for you. Well, good job, Wither. You've been doing it. You've been making us proud.
Yeah, there were some weird spammers that came up late in the thread here.
There's a guy named PewDiePie. Guy named Jeff. Just random. Thoughts on Robert Hagg? He is very underrated. He's very, very decent, and I feel like he could be like a top 4 type guy for Philadelphia next season. He's really, really young and really, really good.
Yeah, a lot of good questions from this group tonight.
Yeah, it's been really good. Thanks for coming out, everyone. Been the best. All right, I'm gonna put your channel in the chat once again. The last time before we end it. But I think we're going to end it here. So for the 14 people in here, you guys are the best for sticking around. You guys are the real deals. Again, go check out Twisted Wrister Hockey. He does great stuff over there. And again, thanks for hanging on the stream. Again, if you guys have not already hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. It's greatly appreciated. But I think that's going to be it for this week. I'll be doing a live stream probably next week. But again, thanks to Twisted Wrister Hockey for joining us today. It's been a great one. And thanks for everyone for hopping in. And we'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.